Hello my pokey people and welcome one and all to some more sun and moon hypothesizing, theorizing and general Today as we continue our ever-present agonizing wait for some actual tangible information, I thought it would be fun to have a little bit of a look over all the Pokemon past and see which ones really need and could benefit from a brand new evolution. Because I do actually think there's a good chance Sun and Moon will introduce some new evolutions for all Pokemon, because outside of Sylveon, we've not had one for 2 generations, and now that I believe Mega Evolution will take a little bit of a backseat, it seems the perfect time to give some old Pokemon a little bit of love and a boost that they need. This will very much be a combination of, I like this Pokemon, please give it an evolution, and I think this Pokemon should get one. It deserves it. It's been good, you know. So I've got about 8 or so to go through, but I'm going to order them by generation. So let's head to Kanto, and I've got a duo that I think could really use them, and that is Sandslash and Marowak. Let's start with Marowak, because I think this one makes a lot of sense lore-wise when you look at what's going on with little Cubone all the way to Marowak. So Cubone is supposed to be a baby Pokemon, its mother died, and it wears her freaking skull as a constant depressive reminder. He's a kid, he's sad, he's frail, and then he evolves into a young adult, let's say, the Marowak. He's kinda coming to terms with it. He still wears the skull, it's more prominent on his face, but, you know, he's taken it in his stride, he's harnessed the pain of the loss, and he's become a much better fighter because of it, but he's still, you know, worn down and still wears the skull, and it's still there at the back of his mind, the pain that he felt as a Cubone. And then what we could do is take it even further and give Marowak a third final form, and this would be kind of old man Marowak, let's say. Maybe not ancient, but definitely sort of just after his prime, where he's finally embraced, accepted, and moved on from the pain of his loss. He's taken the skull off his head. He still uses it maybe as armor somewhere, as a reminder, but he's much more in tune with how it affected him, and because of that, he's been able to clear his mind and become an even stronger Pokemon, maybe gaining a different typing. That would be really cool as well. Maybe even something crazy like Psychic, because of the Zen state he's now got to, fully appreciating the loss. And I think Ground Psychic would be really cool, and yeah, a little bit more majestic looking, a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit more on the dinosaur side. I just think that thematically that would be a really cool, badass new evolution to get. The other one then, Sandslash, is interesting because it's based on a pangolin, which is an adorable little animal, and it's covered in spiky armor plates. You can see why it's Sandslash, but they are much more for defense than offense, whereas Sandslash looks very much offensively inclined. So I'm thinking with Sandslash, maybe give it a split evolutionary path. If it levels up holding a Razor Claw, for example, then let it go full on like Spike Death mode, a lot more sleeker, a lot more quick, powerful, and just turn the spikes up to 11. But if you choose to level up a Sandslash holding a shell-based item, let's say, it goes a little bit more back to its real-life animal counterpart, kind of curls up a little bit. Its spikes go back into being a little bit more armored, like when it was a Sandshrew, but definitely still a lot bigger and imposing, and you can kind of have a more defensive one. So yeah, that's my picks for Kanto. So as we move on to Johto, the runt of the litter as far as I'm concerned when it comes to Pokemon generation, seriously, there is no generation that I like the least amount of Pokemon than freaking Johto. I don't know what it is, I'm just not a fan. But that said, there is a couple. I mean, you gotta give a shout out to Dunsparce, don't you? That little, why? Give it a majestic dragon form already. And then Shuckle I gotta mention, because by it getting an evolution, everyone could just give Shuckle Evoilite and have Evoilite? I actually have never really had to say that out loud. It's gonna backfire, isn't it? I'm totally pronouncing that wrong. But either way, it would be a monster. A 50% defense boost Shuckle. But no, in all seriousness, I'm thinking Octillery, and there's not really a big reason for it for me other than I like octopi as creatures and I love Kraken, and giving it a third form would give them the opportunity to have a full-on Kraken Pokemon. It evolves, it gets massive, gets a lot cooler and sleeker looking with its tentacles thrashing, maybe even gets the sharp beak of an octopus instead of the sort of the soft gun that it seems to be rocking at the moment, and I just think it would be cool. And you know, I think Octillery deserves it. It's a very forgotten Pokemon for me and a lot of other people. So there you go with a Johto, and then we go to Hoenn. This one was a very easy choice, actually. This one came by far the quickest to me, and it is Kecleon. The reason for Kecleon is I think it would be very neat both thematically as to why it suddenly gained a new evolution, and because chameleons are awesome, and the fact that Kecleon isn't terribly viable despite being one of those "it's blocking your path, better go find an item" Pokemon kinda sucks, except for like Snorlax, and occasionally you see Snorlax be used, but Kecleon, not really so much, but it has a lot of potential. So I'm thinking its evolution has only just now been discovered because its invisibility factor is even more potent than in Kecleon, and we've only now gained the technology in Sun and Moon to see it, so we've now discovered it. I think that would be a really nice way to spin it, and maybe it could go to all fours, become a lot more beast-like, full-on chameleon with a lot more angular head, maybe a lot more whippy tongue action in its combat style, maybe get quite a little bit quicker, hell, maybe even go special attack Kecleon, and its tongue kind of shoots out lightning or something mental like that. There's a lot of ways you could do for it. It definitely could gain the ability Protein as well, because, you know, the color changing, type changing, kind of goes hand in hand thematically, but yeah, I think Kecleon would be a really, really fantastic candidate for a number of reasons. I'd certainly be cool with using it if it got an evolution. So next up we go to Sinnoh, the home of the best Pokemon in the world ever, Infernape. Not that I will ever stop bringing that up. And then again, this one was quite an easy choice. A la Kecleon, I've gone for Johto. I love the little parrot. I love parrots in real life, and Johto not being that good upsets me. So really, this is a very much biased one. I just want Johto to get an evolution that looks awesome, that is really powerful, and then I can use my parrot. Granted, it would have to keep the musical theme, which does put me off a little bit, because I don't really like the note on its head. That's my least favourite part of it, but I still think a sort of bigger, more beastly Johto would be very cool indeed. And then my other choice for Sinnoh is actually Toxicroak, because this thing looks mental. I was disappointed with Toxicroak, I really was. I like Croagunk, but I think Toxicroak looks just too evil, but also somehow derpy at the same time. But then I'm thinking, well, why not turn that up to 11? Why not give it its third form? Why not mirror the other Froggy Toady Pokemon, Seismitoad, and give it a third form? And you could really take this kind of off-putting, weird, clawed, agile toad and give it some massive blades, maybe even puff out its sort of red chest sack even more, and just really go for the sort of evil, clawed toad ninja. Well, Frog Ninja, I guess, more accurately, in Toxicroak's case. I just think it could be cool. I think it would be a really awesome, but at the same time off-putting design, and I think it would sit well. I really, really do. I don't really have a good story reason for it existing, but I don't know, I kind of like the idea of it. So as we move on to Gen 5 then, this one was actually difficult. There's not that many Gen 5 Pokemon that I look at and go, "Aw, you should evolve." But in the spirit of giving every generation a time to shine, I'm actually going to go for a Selgor and Escavalier, and the reason for this is because of their evolutionary story, and I think it would be cool to continue it. So Shelmet evolves into a Selgor, which doesn't inherently make sense, because Shelmet very much looks like the pre-evolution of Escavalier. So the lore as to why these happen is you trade Carablast and Shelmet. Carablast basically steals Shelmet's armor and becomes Escavalier. Shelmet, now de-armored, becomes a lot quicker, wraps himself up in bandages, and becomes the incredibly quick Selgor. It's kind of a nice, weird cross-evolution, so I'm thinking maybe do it again. Maybe have Escavalier traded with an Aselgor, and they become 2 new third form Pokemon. Maybe Aselgor takes back his armor from Escavalier and kind of becomes a hybrid armor ninja, a very balanced stat line. Whereas now, let's go dark. The armorless Carablast that was in the Escavalier gets killed off almost by the angry Aselgor, but his spirit returns angry and reanimates the remaining suit of armor that Escavalier left behind, and we have a ghost steel floating like knight. You know, the cliche walking suit of armor you get in cheesy horror movies. Like, hell, it's Scooby-Dooian in its cheesiness, but I think that would be really awesome. We end up with a dark bug Aselgor with little bits of armor, maybe even get it a weapon like the lance. It's still fast, but gains a little bit more of an attack edge, and then a more special orientated ghost steel Escavalier that is very much vengeful against Aselgor and its shenanigans in a kind of revenge twist. I don't know, I just think that would be fun to see play out as another trade evolution, because I don't really think that's happened before. There's not been a trade then trade back double evolution. So yeah, there you go, make of it what you will. And then Gen 6, there really is only one choice for me. It was easy, and it is a Heliolisk, because this thing looks like a middle evolution. It feels like they missed a trick, and they just forgot to put in the third one. Like, it just screams middle evolution. It should have a third form that is an electric dragon, and we would have an electric dragon that isn't a legendary, and it would look badass, because it's like an electric version of the frilled classic dinosaur from Jurassic Park, and it just has the potential to look really, really badass. A very agile, thin, sleek, raptor electric dragon with the frill, like, opening when it does electric attacks. It just would be sweet, and I feel like that was supposed to happen, and for whatever reason it got cut. So yeah, definitely Heliolisk. So there you go, guys. That is my Pokemon that should evolve picks for Sun and Moon, mostly because I think they'd be interesting, more so than just, make it even cooler than it already is. Give Lucario an evolution. Yeah, I don't care that he's got a Mega, just go all the things. You know what I'm saying. So let me know if you like my ideas. What are some of your own? Let's get that discussion going, and let me know what you'd like me to theory, discuss, hypothesize next time. My name has been Rage. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I'll see you later on. Oh, goodbye.